Hi, my name's Izzy Graves. I'm an illustrator and a dungeon master for a D&D 5e campaign that I play with my friends. Today you will be seeing me as I illustrate one of my NPCs. Her name is Red, and she is a retired halfling barbarian who is the dungeon master in our campaign. Just a little rundown of the rest of this video and like my little ramble today. I'm gonna go over a mix of Red's history, my D&D history, and my art history. So we'll get into a couple of things today. But we'll go ahead and start with Red. As I said, she is a retired halfling barbarian. She goes by the title of a bingo master. Basically every month, every second Sunday of the month, give or take, I run a bingo session for the Westmarch campaign that I am in with my friends. This started back in, I believe, June of 2022, and I have just been running every month since then. Every now and then I won't do it on the second Sunday of the month, but I try pretty hard to keep it kind of consistent for the guild. Regardless, it's usually a very chill session, more or less. It gets a little chaotic because I take in as many people as I can during the session, so we typically have a lot of different people coming in and role-playing and playing D&D at the same time. So, it can get a little chaotic, but that's okay. That's kind of what the session is for. It's typically a 2-hour session, more or less, and we just play bingo, basically. I have been making these bingo cards for the guild ever since I started doing this. So basically the very first month I started, I first of all didn't think it was gonna get as big as it got in the guild. Like, I didn't think that I was going to continue this for over 2 years, but it's become kind of like a guild tradition at this point. So the very first month I made a bingo card that was basically kind of like Loteria style. So if you've ever seen like a Loteria card, it's a 4x4 card with illustrations, and there's titles under the illustrations, and you call them out, and as you do so, players will like mark out like matching images, and then if they get like a row, a column, or a diagonal of 4 images, then they get bingo. And so I basically played it the same way, but the very first couple of cards I made, I just did like Faerunian type Forgotten Realms images. So you have like regular 5e, like beholders, we had some Pantheon on there, so Lathander, Shantia, different images like that. Just very basic. But as I continued on, my players kind of wanted more. Well, I felt like it would be funner for us if I was actually using the images of our players, or their characters. So I began this endeavor of taking their character art and taking art of different locations that we've been in, or different NPCs that we've seen, or different jokes that we have within the guild, and making those into cards, basically, for the bingo cards. And it's been pretty fun. I feel like it's really enjoyable to see people get super excited to, see their characters or see jokes that they are like on the in on. And not only that, but since it's an open level session, because our campaign has very many characters in very many different level ranges. It's nice to have a session where anybody can come and join in with whatever character they want to and play. Some people I've noticed get really into the bingo aspect, and they get really competitive about wanting to win bingo, and other people are more invested in the roleplay and they just want to interact with their characters and establish those relationships between one another. And it's fun to see both. Again, it can be a little chaotic because typically I have between like 8 to 12 people in our little Discord server voice chat session. But thankfully, most people are typing while I'm calling out bingo cards. So it's at least somewhat controlled chaos. But just a little history on my time at D&D, I suppose. 5e is actually my first edition of D&D that I've played. I started playing in October 2021 because my best friend insisted that I play D&D with her. She had insisted on me joining the server for a very long time, and I had always brushed it off, and I finally came to my senses and joined, and she made it really easy for me to kind of jump in and figure out with her. So I started in October 2021, and then I started DMing in November of 2021 because I was extremely confident and maybe a little cocky that I could do it. Granted, a lot of my first sessions were a little chaotic. I don't think they've changed from that because I have a very hard time actually organizing things or like planning. I'm very much a fly by the seat of my pants type of person when I DM, but it kind of, that sort of thing kind of sparked me into running more like roleplay, or I guess like quote unquote cozy sessions. So I tend to run slight segue, but basically we have several different DMs in our guild, and we all run in the same world with the same guild. It's just very many different DMs running their own sessions in this one canon timeline. So for me, I like to be the DM that runs basically like beach episodes, I suppose. So I run bingo every month. I sometimes run a game very lovingly called Tavern Burners, which is basically D&D dodgeball, I suppose. We have soirees that I like to run, other little party things. I do like the holiday gatherings, or for Halloween we'll go trick-or-treating. I generally just like to do things that are kind of inclusive in like holiday time, especially with some of us who either on the day of a holiday might have time to just play D&D, or around that time just to kind of get into the spirit of the holiday. I like to run those little things. So I definitely have very much steered into that. I do like to run bigger quest lines in combat sometimes, but running little roleplay sessions is just very easy for me. I come from a very long background of text roleplay, so it was really easy to transition from text roleplaying to roleplaying, or running little cozy sessions for the guild. So that's a little bit of me with D&D. It's a little different, but honestly, it's been really fun, and I think it gives people some time to have a little bit of breather time between like huge quest lines or lots of like heavy plot things or character arcs. So it's nice. But I know also with the little drought me going on behind here, I actually lost some of the footage going from the sketch to the color phase, which is really unfortunate because I thought I had done all of it or recorded all of it, and then at some point I looked at my camera and I was like, oh, I think the battery was dying and I hadn't put it on the charger yet, and so I lost some of the footage that I had, which is really sad, but it's okay. It was a lesson learned. So about the art that I have going on, and also just my art journey in general. So I actually was very much into art when I was younger. I started super young with drawing, and I just kind of continued. At like every year of high school, I was in an art class, and then in college, I minored in art. I majored in creative writing, and I'm always writing. But art is something that kind of took a little bit of a back burner for me for a really long time. I basically graduated college, and then I was like, okay, well, I got this cool degree and I'm gonna go do other things, and that is exactly what I did. I kind of veered away from what my degree gave me and just kind of continued on into a different path. And over the years, I've realized, even though I do writing on the side, I haven't been extremely fulfilled in what I do with my career. And it's been kind of unfortunate because, I'm very grateful for the career I've made for myself and the people I've met along the way, but I definitely want something more. And in feeling that way, I got really into like trying to decide some different career path for myself. So I was going into like, oh, I could do HR or grant writing, or maybe I could do some sort of like admin-y role. But I was really willing to put my heart and soul into transitioning into another career and learning what I needed to learn for another career. And I realized along the way, especially with YouTube and like the ability to see other art creators and what they're doing, I realized that I could really be putting more time into my art, and considering where that takes me, it could just take me into another fulfilling hobby, or it could take me into doing it as a career possibly. Regardless, right now my concern isn't on monetization. It's more on practicing and getting sort of my footing with creating art again. And I've tried to kind of branch out into like getting myself to make more challenging things for me. This one right here, this illustration really wasn't a challenge. It was just a little fun thing for myself. But I have actually been starting making D&D bingo cards recently, completely on my own illustrations. And it was something I wanted to do because I got into this idea oh, what if I just made 54 illustrations and made them into cards and then printed them and gave them to my friends as gifts or something. That's the real goal here. But at the same time, I was oh, I can put a lot of effort into these and make these illustrations into a whole little passion project of mine. So although this image won't be one of the images I use for those 54, I actually have made three of 54 images in the past maybe 2 or 3 weeks, and I kind of figure I might be going that pace for the rest of the 51 images, but we'll see. It's definitely been quite nice to be able to like put myself into trying to make like full illustrations for these cards. It's a little ambitious, and I'm completely aware of that, but would not be myself if I just did something simple. So here I am. I might actually make the next video as a look at me drawing one of those illustrations for the bingo cards that I'm making, just to kind of keep me accountable as well, because if I'm putting it on a video and then throwing it on YouTube, I am way more likely to continue doing this thing that I'm trying to do with these bingo cards. But yes, so you could likely look forward to some videos of me making bingo cards, probably, as that is like my biggest project right now. But I am also very likely to talk about D&D in a lot of this, especially since the cards are D&D based. But D&D has also just like been one of my biggest things, and it's been like the easiest way for me to segue into illustrating and making art and doing all these things again. So yeah, I'm basically about finished up with this illustration at this point, and so I will let this continue and head on out. But thank you for watching this video. I hope it was enjoyable for y'all, and I hope y'all see me in the next one when I hopefully am continuing to make more D&D cards. Yeah!